What's the deal, my people? You know it is a Don Tony Teflon, and I'm back at you another one. And this one is Yellowjackets Season 3, Episode 7. We're going to go through the whole video, recap it for you, give you my thoughts on the video, and give you all of my theories that I do believe are going to happen in this show. After coming off last week's episode, which could be the greatest episode that they've done this whole entire series, there was a lot riding on this episode. Did this episode live up to the hype, or did they get it wrong? Let's go through and break it down. It first takes us back before we seen the last episode take place. And it's here where we learn our first major clues of this show. Number one, we learn that these are frog scientists. That's not a big mystery because it was put out by the people who make the show that these people were not bird watchers, that they were frog scientists. And that makes a whole lot of sense since this is called Croaked. Next, we find out that they are there to investigate these frogs because this is a certain mating time for these frogs. And when they mate, they make these noises. Now, the noises that we hear these frogs make are the same exact noises that we hear the girls hear all the time, and they believe that it's the wilderness talking to them. So it's not the wilderness talking to them. It's not supernatural. It's just a misinterpretation of what's going on around them. And these scientists are here with a man named Kodiak. Now, Kodiak, crazy name for a scout, but hey, we'll deal with it. And they just want to tape these frogs because it's never been recorded on audio, these frogs mating calls whatsoever. So that is the reason why they are out there. That is what they're trying to do. And they give us all 3 days leading up to what exactly happened, or I should say 2 days, and the third day is when they actually find these people, the Yellowjackets, camped out there. Day 2 arrives and not much happens in day 2. They still are listening for all of these frog sounds, and that's what they're most focused on. But we can tell that the lady is definitely into Kodiak, but she is with the nerdy doctor dude, so she can't get her rocks off with Kodiak. As this goes on, they wind up going inside of their tent because Kodiak tells them that it's about to rain, and he has predicted it right. While inside the tent, he gets them high, they smoke a little marijuana, and it loosens them both up. Now, as they're loosened up, they realize that they're having a good time and that she wants to make a phone call. Now, the phone is going to play a significant role, I believe, but while they wanted to call Miss Cleo, and Miss Cleo, if people don't know, was a 1-800 number that you could call and you could get your predictions. It was a black lady who used to do this, and she would read your fortune. It was a funny thing for back then, and people used to call and do it all the time. Kodiak and the lady start wrestling over the phone. When they wrestle over the phone, they wind up breaking the antenna of the phone off, making the phone inoperable, so they cannot use the phone anymore. This gets dude scared and nervous that, oh my god, that was our lifeline to this place. But Kodiak then tells him, I'm your lifeline to this place, don't worry about the phone. And we also see that he did have an injury to his foot, and that is why they had the first aid kit. He was tending to the wound on his foot. That's basically what happens on day 2. That brings us to the day that the situation takes place. Kodiak leads them on another journey to find maybe the same frogs or different frogs, but it seems he's taking them a different direction than they were already going. Now, the dude is very cautious of Kodiak and thinks that maybe Kodiak is going to take them out or do something. She trusts him fully, and they go a different direction that they were in. But during that night is when they're sitting there, and then they start to hear the noises. First, they start to smell something that reminds them of a barbecue. And then they start to hear the noises. So he goes off. Kodiak tells him not to go mess with anybody this late in the woods, but he is so determined, he goes out there to search for him, and she follows, which makes Kodiak have to do the same. The closer they get, they start to hear all of the screaming and the crazy noise that the girls are making because Lottie told them last episode to start to sing because they heard the frogs doing their thing and they're responding to what they perceive to be the wilderness. As they go the route, the lady starts recording her DAT tape and she hear her say, "Test, test, 1 2 1 2. Oh my God, what is that?" And that is what we heard them listening to while they were inside of the car. While they roll up there, we then get to the scene that we ended last episode with. But in the end, when the guy is just trying to talk to him, Lottie, like a psycho, comes up from behind and just axes him right in the back of the head, killing him instantly. That's one frog scientist down. At this particular time, Kodiak tells the lady to run, and he shoots an arrow, and this arrow catches Melissa right above her armpit. And after that, she goes down. Shauna then says, "You got to make sure she lives, because if she dies, you die." And that is when they all take off after them, chasing them. Now, if there is anyone to blame for this situation, it has to fall on Lottie. She had no reason to axe this dude in the back of the head. I don't care that the wilderness didn't want them there or anything like that. She just is a psycho, Lottie. I mean, I like older Lottie a lot. I really do. But this Lottie right here is out of her goddamn mind. And she's allowing other people to be out of their mind too. They also give us another clue to something and also clear something up. So they also talk about how the team that was there before them left supplies there. So we now know that the reason why the hole is there and the supplies that the coach found was from a prior team of frog scientists also. And then we see the name of Kodiak. Obviously, we knew his real name wasn't Kodiak, but they do show us his name on the label. Maybe that comes to play with something later. We get our first glimpse of the modern timeline, and we see Shauna in the bathroom listening to the DAT tape. Listening to a little bit more than we heard last time with headphones on so no one in her family can hear her. She confronts her husband Jeff and she lets him know that she has to go out because she's trying to protect them and that he needs to watch his daughter, their daughter, because she's very smart but she's also very nosy and they both don't want to feel her wrath. And then they show her daughter Googling up people missing from Canada. And we can see from this that she is going to figure out exactly what happened to them in the wilderness. Then it's going to come down to Shauna's reaction to it and how she's going to handle it, or how she's going to handle her daughter knowing exactly that she's kind of a murderer and that these people went missing. And is she going to actually be able to talk her way out of this, or will she do something to harm her daughter? We then see Mitzi, and I know her name is Misty, but I say Mitzi, that's the way my accent comes out, get over it. We then see her confront Van and Ty over the murder of Lottie. Now, they both deny it, number 100%. Ty denies it. She gives the reason why she went out there to go see her, that she was just trying to get advice about the wilderness and the things that were going on with Van to try to save Van from this whole cancer situation. And we see Van pull out like a butter knife to Mitzi. A butter knife is what she's using to hold her back. But that's what this conversation is about. But it does lead to them telling her about the tape. And she apparently has no idea that a tape ever even existed. After this, the wild hunt begins, and Kodiak tells her that she should stay with him and to keep running, don't try to go back, but indeed she does separate. Now, when they do separate, we can see that her hair gets stuck on the tree. And although this is what gets her caught a little bit later, this is not the significance of the long hair. I will tie in the long hair when I go into the theories part of why her long hair is important into this whole situation. So they split up and she goes and she ducks inside of what it looks like an empty tree trunk. While they're looking for her, she's trying to hide there. She's pleading for her life to herself and she doesn't want to get caught. And Kodiak takes off and they really can't find him at this time. They all go to the hotel and they confront Shauna, and they bring Mitzi with them, which she's not exactly happy about. So they all tell her that they're going to go on to the trip with her, and that she basically has no choice but to let them go. Now, while they're inside of this car ride, this is when Mitzi listens to the tape, and while she's listening to the tape, she comes up with an interesting observation saying that why would this person wait 25 years to try to come back and seek revenge? Now, they go through a couple of names, and one of the names they bring up is Melissa, and they say that Melissa and the other Yellowjacket are dead, which I'm not exactly sure that's true, but we'll come back to that in a little bit. So let's take them at their word for now. Melissa is already dead. They don't say exactly how she died, but they say that she's dead at this particular time. So Shauna has figured out that this lady that they captured also had a daughter, and she believes that it's her daughter that is trying to seek revenge on all of them for killing their mother, or suspecting that something happened to their mother. So she's saying that the daughter has held on to this tape, hasn't gone to anybody for all these years, and now 25 years later she decides that she wants to send the tape to Shauna after trying to mess with Shauna's brakes and kill her in order to get revenge for what she thinks is the killing of her mother. That's the story that Shauna has worked out in her head. Back in the wilderness, Ty and Van find the campsite, and when they go inside, they see the phone, and the first thing Van says is, "I want to call my mom," which to me was a touching moment, just showing that even though they've been crazy out here, the first thing she wants to do is just call her mother and speak to her mother. But they realize that the phone is broken and that they cannot use it. I would hope that they would take the broken phone with them and bring it back to the camp. It doesn't appear that they did that, but that's something I would do because it doesn't even look like it's that broken. It should be able to get fixed. Now, the girls are still out there hunting. Javi is hunting. They come out with a plan so that they can catch Kodiak. But while that's going on, we see Anna. She's laid up inside of the tree trunk, and she starts to record a message to her child and saying that how much she loves her. After she records this message, she buries her dat player into the ground and leaves it there, hopefully for somebody to find this for her at a later date. After this, instead of actually getting caught, which she doesn't, she actually just gives herself up, and then that's when they come and they grab her up, and Shauna puts a knife to her back. And this is when we hear Shauna say, "We can still go home and get away with this without any witnesses." Now, I think that her plan was because she's significantly older than these girls, and that's going to come into play, and a little bit later I'm going to talk about that. Significantly older than these girls, so she's most likely going for that mother relationship to try to calm them down and try to talk to them and not let them kill her from that standpoint. The fact that we've seen Van say the first thing she wanted to do was talk to her mother, I think she had some poise to do this and get away with it. We also hear that there were girls who were close with her in the camp, which means they do not kill her right away. They keep her in camp for a while. And again, we're going to talk about that part a little bit later in the video and what that means for the story. Back in the car, first we see that Mitzi finds a receipt proving that Shauna was in town where Lottie was when Lottie dies. But on top of that, she gets a text from Walter, and Walter tells her that the DNA underneath Lottie's fingernail matches Shauna. So that Shauna's DNA is underneath Lottie's fingernails. She gets nervous. She texts it to Ty. Ty texts it to Van. They start doing these texts back and forth saying they need to get out of this car. And then they confront her on this situation. But before they can get her to stop the car, this is when we see Van just throw up blood due to her cancer, and they have no choice but to rush her into the hospital. Now, it seems that right now, as of this situation, that Shauna is the person that killed Lottie. And if Shauna did kill Lottie, is she did take her out. And when they confront her about it a little bit later, she doesn't 100% deny the fact that she did it. It just shows how crazy Shauna really is, that Shauna is a psychopath, man. She has been from the beginning, and it would make sense for me that she did take Lottie out. Now, why? We have to come to that determination of why she would do it, but she seems to be psycho enough to do it. Back at the wilderness, the plan to catch Kodiak works. They flush him out. He tries to run away, but he falls off a cliff. He hangs on to the cliff. Now, they easily can just let him drop right then. He's dead. They can't be responsible for it. He even says, "Save your bullets, kid." But no, Javi puts the gun down and says, "Please take us with you," because he just wants to go home, and he pulls Kodiak up. So they take him back to the settlement where they're camping out at, held at gunpoint and crossbow point, basically. While that is going on, we go back into the hospital, and the most important thing in this hospital is Van. Van sees Dirt Mouth Ty after she sees herself. Due to the fact that she's hallucinating this whole situation, she sees a younger version of herself set her bed on fire and say they never really escaped death at all. They were just basically prolonging it, is what she's trying to get at. But while she has the conversation with Dirt Mouth Ty, she tells her straight up that I'm the only one who could save you. Van realizes I've been with you the whole time, and Dirt Mouth Ty is like, I'm the one who can save you. I'm the only one who could save you. I'm the only one willing to do what's possible to save you. And that's why I've been in this form the whole time. Now, is she really Dirt Mouth Ty in this time, or is it just hallucination? We have to figure that out and talk about that. But after this, Shauna leaves on her own, and she goes outside what appears to be this lady's house. She has a knife with her, and basically that's how it ends. Really quick is when we get the daughter confronting the dad, saying that basically she believes that her mother did something wrong. So let's go through what we got at the end of this, and then we can wrap this video up on these theories. Number one theory would be the Pit Girl. Is the Frog Lady going to be Pit Girl? I have put a whole video out about it. You can take a look. The problem I have with it is this. Number one, it does fit the build. They did show the lady lose her hair in the tree like I talked about earlier. The actress who plays this lady has short hair. So they put a wig on this woman on purpose. Why would they do that? Just to have her head get grabbed by a tree? Possibly, or possibly so it could be Pit Girl. The reason why I think it can't be Pit Girl in this situation is that she is so much older than all of them, that she's actually going for this motherly role on top of that and everything else. That the girl who's running looks like she's their age. Now, if they hold her there for a while and shrink her down and she doesn't eat as much and they can make her a little bit skinny, and this would, and they said she did get close to a couple of girls in camp. This could be the reason why she's wearing the necklace and they chase her. Still, even if they do that, to me, it would be a cop-out. It would be something that they just thought of to put this lady in there. They should have put an older lady because she just looks too old compared to the Pit Girl that we've seen running. And no matter how they try to superimpose it, it will never fit to me personally. That's why I think it's a good possibility that that's the way they're going to go, but it just won't work for me when it's all said and done. Next, they said that Melissa was dead. Now, I think they brought up interesting things. Why would someone wait 25 years for this to happen? Why would people wait this time? It seems a little bit too personal. If it was a little girl who had this tape, you would think she would have already turned it into the authorities, even though there's not a lot to go on the tape saying that this is what happened and this is the reason why it happened too. It just seems suspect, that whole situation. I'm going to go with that Melissa did somehow pull this off. I need to see Melissa dead before I don't think that Hilary Swank is playing her. Unless this person somehow is related to the bow hunter Kodiak. Unless somehow that is the reason why they showed his name, that she's related to Kodiak in some way. That's the theories that I have. I want to hear from you in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this episode. I think they did a great job following it up. Can't wait for the next one. but I will be having another live stream, so make sure you subscribe and you hit notifications so you can call in and let me know your theories. And if you like the way I do this, please thumbs up this, spread this across the realm, and of course subscribe. And until next time, you know who it is. Peace and stay sexy.